Muting.
Okay.
Lincoln,
Yes. How are you?
I am good. Do we need video or just audio?
The only thing that I've got right now is audio.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I've got. We finally got the audio up.
Yeah, I had to go in and click a button to do that.
Okay.
Who knew? So the only one we're waiting on is Jess. Chris, do you think you'll be able to cover Jess's if he doesn't log on?
Yes, sure can.
Okay. We'll wait about one more minute and then we will start.
Are we going to have video or just audio?
You may just have audio, Mary. I'm not certain. I have not done this as a webinar before.
That's fine with me.
Okay.
Sarah, do you want video?
No, ma'am, I'm fine.
And I'll text Jess to see what's going on.
Also, Dr. Sears, you're aware that this is streaming live on your YouTube channel, right?
Hey, Mary Lou. I'm getting ready to go in a meeting. I'll have to call you back later. All right. Bye-bye.
Yes, I am. And if everyone could mute themselves, we will go ahead and get started. Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today to see our presentation for how we are going to reopen schools this fall. Those of you on the panel, are you able to see the PowerPoint?
No, sir.
No.
Okay, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today to see our presentation for how we are going to reopen schools this fall.
Now we can.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, I apologize for all the technical difficulties we're having. For some reason, this would not load on Facebook Live, and we've had to switch to YouTube. Hopefully people have found their way over to the YouTube channel and are able to see the presentation. I will just say that as we go through this presentation, if you have any questions, please email them to my email address. That is ksiers@pcva.us. And at the end of the presentation, we will answer the questions that we have time to answer. And if we can't get to all questions, we will respond to the emails with the answers that you're asking for us to provide. I'd like to begin with a reminder that any parent who has concerns about students returning for face-to-face instruction can register their children to participate in the Pulaski County Virtual Academy and receive all virtual instruction. The Virtual Academy will ensure that they remain enrolled in Pulaski County Public Schools, and that will facilitate an easier transition back into their regular school once the time comes for that to occur. We plan for the PCVA to be offered throughout this year and possibly roll it over into next year if it is still needed. Parents who want to register their students for the Virtual Academy can call Tammy Harrell at 540-994-2524 or email her at tharrell@pcva.us. The deadline for registering students for the Virtual Academy has been extended to Friday, July 31st. Before we actually get into the elements of the plan, I'd like to talk for a minute about the steps that we went through to develop our plan. First, we formed a task force. It was made up of 35 members that included teachers, students, parents, administrators, and central office personnel. We also took the draft plans that we had devised and presented them to Dr. Noelle Bissell, the director of the New River Health District, and got her input and made some adjustments in areas that she felt we needed to make the adjustments. And we conducted a survey of students, parents, faculty, and staff. So all told, we had somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,600 to 1,700 people who provided input into the development of this plan. The takeaways that we were able to glean from the surveys were that there were varying degrees of enthusiasm among the stakeholders for returning to school 4 days a week. It was the majority of parents and the overwhelming majority of parents and the majority of students favored returning to school 4 days a week. It was the #1 choice for faculty and staff as well, but it wasn't a majority. I think it was around 47% of the faculty and staff wanted to return to 4 days a week of instruction for each student. Approximately 1/4 of our parents, 1/3 of our students, and 1/10 of our employees do not support wearing masks. That is going to be an issue with the way the plan is developed, and we'll talk about that more in a minute. Childcare for non-instructional days is going to be an issue for parents, faculty, and staff. We understand that, and we tried to be cognizant of what challenges were faced by families when we were putting this plan together, which was one of the big reasons we pushed to try to get a return to 4 days a week. A significant percentage of parents, students, faculty, and staff will need assistance in developing the skills for successful implementation of online learning. And health screening procedures are going to require a concerted effort to be administered correctly on a daily basis. Panel members, are you still with me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We developed our health plan with input from the task force, and the majority of the content of the health plan was written by our supervisor of school nursing, Ms. Mary Hall, and I think she did an excellent job of putting our plan together. But the health plan includes that students will wear masks on buses during transitions and inside of the classrooms when 6 feet of social distancing can't be maintained. When it was presented to the board the other night, we discussed the fact that we understand that masks are a political hot button issue, and we are making our decisions based on the science, not on the politics of it. And masks have been shown to reduce the spread of COVID by 67%. If we weren't incorporating the use of masks into our plan, we would not be able to transport students in the way that'll be described later. We would only be able to transport half the number of students in. So we would be looking at a schedule that would only allow the return of students 1 or 2 days per week without the use of masks for transportation. Same thing inside of the classroom. We are using the guidelines of 6 feet is our goal, 3 feet is acceptable, and that's based on the guidance from the World Health Organization and the American Academy of Pediatrics. 3 feet does promote a significant reduction in the spread of COVID. 6 feet is better, but 3 feet is allowable under the current guidance with the use of masks. When the two are combined, it does a much greater decrease in the spread of COVID. And I've included a study here if anyone would like to check it out. It is a meta-analysis that was done on about 160 different studies throughout the world on the use of masks to stop the spread of COVID. And you can see the results are quite impressive, and they certainly verify the use of masks as being a good step to take in order to prevent the spread of COVID. Students are going to receive a health screening upon arrival each day. Students who are screened out from attending will be placed on virtual learning status for 10 days or until they've been fever-free for 3 consecutive days without the use of fever-reducing medication, whichever is longer. This is why it's going to be crucial that the schools and parents act as a partner and parents conduct their own health screening before sending the students to school. If you know your child has hay fever and it's that season and they wake up with a headache and they're coughing and sneezing, hold them back that day. Get them some allergy medicines till the symptoms disappear, because if they come to school and we screen them out, then they will be out for at least 10 days. So we really need to work together to make sure that that we're not bringing kids in when they have any of the symptoms that would cause them to be screened out. Teachers will instruct students on the necessary hygiene habits to reduce the spread of COVID. We will work with students, remind them about hand washing, remind them about social distancing, remind them that the masks are required, or when the masks are required. Students are going to be required to wash or sanitize their hands before and after using shared resources in the classroom and on playgrounds. It's another very effective way to prevent the spread. If everyone is taking the time to wash their hands before they touch things, then the chances of transmission are greatly reduced. We will post appropriate signage throughout the classrooms and school buildings. Some additional safety precautions that we're taking are that no field trips to other locations. If any field trips that occur would be ones that students could walk to safely from their school building, or virtual field trips. Schools will strive to schedule visitors to come in after instructional days are over, and all visitors will be required to participate in a health screening. Guest speakers will be remote guest speakers. Outside agencies that work inside of our schools are expected to follow the same COVID mitigation strategies that the teachers are expected to follow. And our air handling systems are going to be in operation an additional 6 hours each day to ensure that more fresh air is circulating through the building.
Excuse me.
Our reopening steps, our elementary and high schools. Our step 1 is going to be the first week of school, and that will be a Tuesday through Friday, September 8th through the 11th. And 25% of our students will attend each day. The schools will be communicating with parents who those 25% are on Tuesday, who they are on Wednesday. And assuming we make it through that week with no one been diagnosed with COVID, then the next week we will go to step 2. And that is tentatively scheduled for September 14th through the 25th. On those weeks, we will have 50% of the enrolled students attending Monday and Tuesday, and 50% attending Thursday and Friday. Wednesdays are going to be used for virtual learning and deep cleaning of school buildings. And after completion of 2 full weeks with no confirmed cases in our schools, we will move to step 3. And step 3 could possibly start on September 28th, and that would be 100% of enrolled students will attend Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. Wednesdays will still be used for virtual learning and the deep cleaning of schools. And hopefully at some point in the not too distant future, we can go to step 4 and have a return to 5 days a week. In order for that to happen, I think our metrics would have to look better throughout the state, and we would have to have a relaxation of the guidelines for transporting students. Because it is very difficult when you see the transportation plan and see that we can put one student per seat. It really cuts down on the number of students we can bring in on any one trip. It cuts it significantly. So in order for any plan that would involve a return to 5 days a week, it's going to have to allow for more students to be transported than what the guidelines currently allow us to do. The reopening steps for Pulaski County Middle School, due to 2 weeks worth of schedule delays that were caused by the COVID outbreak at the construction site, the middle school has a different plan for starting this school year. The middle school students are going to be brought in for a half a day on September 1st for 6th grade, September 2nd for 7th grade, and September 3rd for 8th grade to be issued Chromebooks. If needed, there'll be an opportunity to pick up Chromebooks before then and have their schedule set up in virtual Virginia. The schedules that day will be done by team. So half of the 6th grade will come in the morning, the other half will come in the afternoon. Same way with 7th grade and 8th grade. And the middle school administrators will be getting more information about that out to parents in the next couple of weeks. The Pulaski County Middle School students will have to participate in all virtual learning from September 8th to September 18th. And then Pulaski County Middle School students will begin attending in-person classes during the week of September 21st. And instruction will be provided on the same schedule as the other schools. Assuming we haven't had any positive cases in our schools at that point, the first week that middle school students can come to the building, we would have 50% come Monday, Tuesday, 50% on Thursday and Friday. And then the following week, we have the potential to go to all students coming in for 4 days. Our plan for intermittent shutdown. We do expect there will be times when we have an employee or a student or find out that a parent who had been on school property tests positive for COVID. We are prepared for that. We expect it will happen. When that does happen, we will, in any one school, we will shut down that school and go to phase 1, which is all virtual learning for a period of time. And that time, the amount of time would depend on those circumstances. If it's one parent who was visiting the school for 10 minutes, it may not be a long-term shutdown. If it was a whole classroom of students and 3 or 4 people tested positive, then that school may be shut down for a couple of weeks while we look at doing contact tracing and testing of everyone who would have been in contact with those students. So the length of the shutdowns will vary, but we will shut down and we will do a deep cleaning, we'll do the contact tracing, and we'll develop our reentry plan with guidance from the New River Health District. If we start to notice an outbreak throughout the county and have it in multiple schools, then we will probably shut down the entire school division for a period of time and do those same steps, do the deep cleaning, do the contact tracing, and develop our reentry plan. Okay, at this time, I'm getting ready to turn it over to our panel of presenters, and with us this evening for presenting our technology plan is Josh Taylor, our Director of Technology. Discussing virtual learning will be Lincoln Whitaker, the Instructional Technology Resource Teacher. Instructional plan will be presented by Mary Rash, our Director of Administration and Instruction. Special Education Services will be presented by Sarah Polcha, our Director of Special Ed. Our nutrition plan will be presented by Etheline Sadler, the Director of School Nutrition. And Transportation and Custodial Services will be covered by Jess Schull, our Director of Operations. Okay, Josh, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Dr. Sears. We're going to be using the distribution of our PCPS Chromebooks in 3 different phases. The first being our Pulaski County Middle School Chromebook. Could you advance the slide, Dr. Sears? So we already have these devices in hand, and to reiterate some of the points that Dr. Sears has already made, we'll be making those Pulaski County Middle School Chromebooks available for pickup at the IT building starting Monday, July 20th. Miss Rebecca Smith, the principal of Pulaski County Middle School, is going to be doing a call out for those parents tomorrow to highlight the details that they'll need to be able to schedule a pickup of that device and all the information they'll need. For those people that are not able to pick those devices up at any time, we will be making those available for pickup in person on the days Dr. Sears highlighted on September 1st, September 2nd, and September 3rd. And that will be from various stages at Pulaski County High School. And at that same time, these students will not only receive their Chromebook, but they'll also receive training on the Virtual Virginia Canvas platform, our new learning management system, on those days as well. And if you could advance the slide, Dr. Sears. The second distribution point will be for our Pulaski County High School 9th grade Chromebooks. We're expecting delivery of these devices on August 5th, hopefully a little sooner. But as soon as we get those devices, we should be able to make those available for scheduling pickup from the IT building for those parents and students starting August 19th, 2020. And then we'll also be able to make those available for in-person pickup that for the folks that can't make it down here to the IT building. We'll make those available on 9th grade orientation day at the high school. And then we'll also be able to finish distribution on the first day of in-class instruction. If you could advance to the next slide. And lastly, for our pre-K through 5 Chromebooks, we're expecting delivery of these on August 31st, 2020. We'll try to make those available as soon as possible. I'm estimating that date to be around September 14th, 2020. And then we'll also be able to distribute those in the first day of class for those children as well. I'll turn it over to Mr. Lincoln Whitaker, lead ITRT.
Thank you, Josh. So distance learning, as Dr. Sears stated previously, the families who would like for their children to go all online, we do have that option available through the Pulaski County Virtual Academy. Our distance learning is going to be delivered through the Canvas learning management system. And Canvas is where Virtual Virginia curriculum will be housed. All the pre-K through 9 students will be issued a Chromebook, and this is how they will access distance learning and any courses that are online. The Virtual Virginia curriculum and pacing will be used by teachers during the distance learning piece, and this really is just to help them keep on track with their folks who are in the regular classroom. And then finally, students who are enrolled in our virtual academy will need internet access. So if you have limited or no internet access, please communicate with us in the IT department so we can help look for a solution for you. The blended learning model, I put that up there because this is what our brick and mortar schools are going to look like. Students will be receiving face-to-face instruction, but they will also be entered in the Virtual Virginia online curriculum. So the pacing that they go through the course should be very similar to what their online peers will be getting. Just like the students who are online, these students will be getting a Chromebook. And this is not just for off-campus learning, but this is also for in-classroom learning. Students who are going to the brick and mortar schools will be expected to bring it charged every day for use. In the event that we have to move from our brick and mortar setting to a distance learning setting for an extended period of time, instruction will continue. New instruction will continue. And the teachers will simply use the Virtual Virginia curriculum on the Canvas platform. So nothing's really lost at that point. And also same thing as students work at home, they will need internet access for these courses. So once again, if you have limited or no access, please communicate with us so we can work with you.
Hey, Lincoln, can I bust in for a second? And
Absolutely.
Just, on the internet piece, we will have a small number of MiFi devices available. We also will make our school parking lots hotspot area so you can pull up and still get connected to those. And you can also, if you're doing in-class, in-person instruction, you'll be able to sync your device while you're at the school building as well.
One of the pieces that from our surveys that we learned is that training is going to be needed. So we looked at a 3-tiered approach. First, teachers will receive ongoing training on the use of the Canvas learning management system. They'll also receive more training on Google Apps. This is a continuation from the past few years. And also they'll all receive training in the Virtual Virginia curriculum, and hopefully add to it as we move forward. Another piece of the training is we would like to support parents. We were aware that there were folks who did have trouble with the virtual and online piece. So IT would like to provide some technical training for those who are interested, and that technical training will focus specifically on Chromebooks, how they operate, where you can find things on there, how to log in, the Google Apps, how they work, and also if you're in 2 different accounts, how to go to your child's account so they can actually receive their instruction. And then finally, the Canvas learning management system, which is new to us. It'll be new to the teachers, students, everybody. So we'll definitely want to go over that with you all. It's just how to get into it. After that, your child should be able to take over for you, but we'll definitely give you the cliff notes there. And then finally, these trainings will be offered through online media content, or a face-to-face environment, providing that we are in a phase that allows this. When we do the training, social distancing guidelines and mitigation strategies must be followed for us to do this. All right.
Okay, next, Ms. Mary Rash will be covering our instructional plan.
Good evening, everyone. And I would just like to take a moment to thank our parents and guardians and community for your support. The past several days, we've received several phone calls and emails, and everyone's been so kind and supportive. And we just want to take a minute to recognize you and thank you for doing that. Our student schedules for next year will look just a little bit different than they have in previous years. All elementary students will remain with the same teacher all day. They will have that same teacher for all their content area classes. The specials teachers, PE, music, art, etc., will rotate into the classrooms. And the instructional day for elementary students will be from 8:30 a.m. until 3 p.m. Middle school students that have been in middle school are familiar with the team concept, and we're going to continue that concept at the new Pulaski County Middle School. These students will attend 2 core subject classes and an elective on Monday and Thursday. And then the other 2 core classes and an elective will be on Tuesday and Thursday. Excuse me, that would be Tuesday and Friday of each week. The instructional day is 9:15 until 2:15. High school students will attend first and second double block classes on Monday and Thursday. Third and fourth double block classes will meet on Tuesday and Friday. And like the middle school, their instructional day will be 9:15 until 2:15. And this will allow for transportation to function in a more timely manner. And for the students, possibly if they're needed, the older students to help with childcare, to be home to assist their siblings with that. Okay, Dr. Sears, if you'd advance, please. Class transitions at the secondary levels will be staggered with the use of face masks, and Dr. Sears covered that area earlier in the health plan, and that is for both middle school and high school students. A daily hour of virtual instruction will be assigned due to the loss of face-to-face time 4 days per week. That hasn't fully been worked out yet, but for example, on Mondays, the first block teacher could have that extra hour for that curriculum. On Tuesdays, a third block teacher could have that extra hour. But this is necessary in order to make up lost instructional time due to the shortened days. And Wednesdays will be devoted to virtual learning and allowing teachers time to give assessments during those days. Okay. One of our areas of concern for our students is the possible loss of instructional due to the closing of school and instructional gaps that may have occurred during these last few months. So we're going to emphasize first and foremost this year at the beginning of school, English and math. The English and Math Standard of Learning objectives not covered during the spring closure will be taught. And our department has already begun to collect that data. We know what SOLs were not covered, so that those will be covered the first couple of weeks of school. There will be formative assessments given, as it says in bullet 2. Short assessments will be administered to ensure that these students are mastering this material before going on. And again, the first 2 to 3 weeks of school will be devoted to covering that missed material. Teachers, in working with their principals, will determine then when new instruction is to begin. New instruction in all the other areas can begin immediately when school opens. I think I got everything there except bullet 3, and other services that we provide, such as Title I and Gifted and Talented, will continue to be implemented either face-to-face or virtually, depending on the phase that we would be in in our school system. Okay. I think we've got that one, Dr. Sears. Student services, we have been working on a needs assessment that will be sent out hopefully via Facebook and our webpage very soon. To better assist students and families, we need to know if there's things that we need to help you all with, what your needs are as far as returning to school. So be watching for that. We'll do a call out when that is available as well. Our school counselors will continue to make contacts and assist with services and interventions. And if, I will just say this right now, if you have a concern right now and are in need, please don't hesitate to reach out to your school administrators in the buildings. There is a school administrator at least in each building right now. School counselors will also continue to present social and emotional learning lessons, career counseling, and other related services. Again, depending on what phase we're in, phase 1, 2, or 3, it may be virtually, remotely, or it may be in class face-to-face. And I just want to say and remind everyone that we are here to ensure that your child or children receive the best education possible. That's our job. And that's what we want to do. And we want to do the best with it that we possibly can. And this is a time like last spring when we have to engage everyone in learning. So again, we appreciate the parental support and the guardian support and the support of the community to ensure that our kids are receiving the best education possible. And we just ask you that as we go into this new time, we know we're going to have some bumps in the road, and we ask you to be patient with us and flexible as we continue to work for the best for your children. Thank you.
Okay, next we'll have Sarah Polcha, our Director of Special Education.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Sears. I'd like to just begin with discussing the phased approach and what special education is going to look like. I'd like to give you a reminder that the least restrictive environment and a free and appropriate public education begin with the same placement as the student's non-disabled peers. And as such, this phased approach guidance is just general guidance for teams and parents to consider as they're making decisions. Phase 3 with special education would be a return to school with their non-disabled peers as looked at by the IEP team. The IEP team obviously can make some decisions as what those services would look like, considering that student's current level of functioning and their ability and their comfort level. Phase 2, students who meet the requirements for extended school year may be considered to attend up to 2 days as determined appropriate by the IEP team. And then phase 1, students who are served through special education for related services and who will not tolerate teletherapy would be considered for in-person therapy in phase 1. If you would advance, Dr. Sears. It's probably one of the most common questions that I've received since this is rolled out, and that is, when will we be hearing from our case managers? Your case manager will contact you and they will talk to you about your family's decision to either go in person or virtual. That should be when the teachers arrive back at school at the latest. So you should begin hearing from them around August 24th, August 25th at the latest. You'll have the option to ask for a full IEP meeting or to create an amendment without a full meeting, much like we did in the spring. Your IEP will include information on each phase. This will not replace the need for future IEP meetings, but it also will help save some time and allow us to roll directly and straight into instruction as the phases change. If you'd forward, sir. Special education services can and will be delivered virtually as appropriate and determined by the IEP team. Accommodations will be tailored for students and learning environment, again, as the IEP team dictates. We can provide read alouds through Virtual Virginia. It's already built into the system. Anything else we'll be looking at individually to cover. Special education personnel will monitor student progress closely, just like our general education peers, and in the same manner, just a little more amped up. We'll use the basic assessment schedule that general education has set out with a little closer monitoring, just to make sure that we're on target and the trajectory is what we want to see out of that individual student. Case managers will check in with parents and guardians weekly, and special education will provide supports and consultation for teachers and for parents and caregivers, teachers as well, who are utilizing the virtual platform. For in-person classes, the emphasis will be on the delivery of specially designed instruction within the classroom. I'd just like to remind you that we are here to support and assist you and your student. I would also like to remind you that IEPs are fluid and flexible documents. Once they're written for the annual IEP, that does not mean that it's done for the entire year. You are able to request an IEP meeting at any point, and they are tailored to your child's needs as they occur. If you have questions specific to your student, please don't hesitate to give us a call here at the office. We're also going to be posting resources for you, such as social stories, on our Facebook page as well as online. Thank you.
Okay, next we will have a presentation regarding food services from our Director of School Nutrition, Ethelene Sadler.
Thank you, Dr. Sears. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to start by letting the community know that Pulaski County Schools has been approved for the community eligibility provision. This means that all students in our division will receive breakfast and lunch at no cost for this coming year. The benefits of that are parents are assured students are receiving 2 healthy meals per day. There'll be no meal charges, no meal applications to submit. It will simplify and reduce wait time during meal service, and supper meal availability at all sites with enrichment activities may be available at your school site. Advance the slide, Dr. Sears. Thank you. All Pulaski County Public Schools, the breakfast meal service, our model will be grab and go. Breakfast carts or tables will be stationed at bus unloads, parent drop-off, student driver entry points at the high school, career and technical education building entrance at our high school. Students will pick up grab and go breakfast with the option to select milk and or an additional fruit if they so choose. They will then report to the classroom and consume their breakfast. Student meals will be claimed as they are distributed. Students will be asked to empty liquid in classroom sinks where available and dispose of trash as directed by their teachers. Breakfast can also be counted as instructional time by our faculty, and that may include attendance, reviewing tests, or other such activities. Elementary lunch service. The meal service for the pre-K through 2nd grade students will be delivered to those classrooms at designated times. Class rosters will be used to claim those meals. With the CEP provision, we do not have to identify each student by name, so it should speed the process. Grades 3 through 5, the students will report to the cafeteria as scheduled by the school administration and will go through the serving lines. Meals will be provided in boxes and carried and consumed in the classroom. Social distancing will be followed as students proceed through the lines. Students will be required to wear a mask through all serving lines. The school nutrition staff will also wear a mask, and follow all food and health safety guidelines. Meal service will be cashless and touchless. The Pulaski County Middle School model on September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Lunch will be provided at the high school for these middle school students when they pick up their Chromebooks and receive training for those. The meal plan for the Pulaski County Middle School, where they will be all virtual learning September 8th through the 18th. That meal service will be provided. However, the meal distribution plan has yet to be determined. The Pulaski County High School meal plan, grades 9 through 12. Students will report to the cafeteria as scheduled by the school administration and proceed through the serving lines. Meals will be provided in boxes and carried and consumed in the classroom. Social distancing will be practiced through the lines for our students as well as our school nutrition staff. All will be required to wear a mask and follow health and safety guidelines. Meal service at our high school will be cashless and touchless. Meals will be delivered at scheduled times for our students in the Career and Technical Education building. For virtual learners, we do desire to provide meals for all of our virtual learners, and those meal times will be they will receive 5 breakfast and 5 lunch meals at one time. All those meals will include all the components that make up a USDA meal pattern. Meal pickup will be available on Wednesdays from 1 to 2 p.m. at all school sites. Parents must order meals in advance, if possible, by calling the Pulaski County Public Schools hotline. The number is listed as 540-643-0104. Meal orders may be emailed to Constance Paul at cpaul@pcba.us by 10 a.m. on Tuesday morning. Parents are encouraged to take advantage of the meal service for virtual learners. All meals will be provided at no cost. Meal service for September 8th through 11th. This is the first week of school and students will be attending school. 25% of the students will attend in alphabetical order Tuesday through Friday of that week. On Tuesday, 3 breakfast and 3 lunch meals will be sent home with students when the school day ends on Tuesday. For the students, Tuesday through Friday, breakfast and lunch meals will be provided for students attending school. Each student is eligible for 1 breakfast and 1 lunch per day. Also, all students are eligible for 1 snack and 1 supper meal. Meal pickup time for these meals will be determined at a later date. September 14th through September 25th. Breakfast and lunch, the model is grab and go. Virtual learning will occur on Wednesdays. All students will be provided 1 breakfast and 1 lunch meal to take home at the end of the school day on Tuesdays. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethelene. I have one question on this, and we really haven't discussed it. The students who, for the 2 weeks that they are going 2 days a week, the students who go Monday and Tuesday can take the meals home with them for the virtual day Wednesday. What about the students who are not coming in till Thursday and Friday, those 2 weeks?
We will have to design a pickup plan for those students so that we do want to ensure that they are provided access to meals. And Dr. Sears we'll have to figure that plan out, but we will before this time comes.
We could probably just include them with the pickup for the virtual students on Wednesday, couldn't we?
Yes, we can. We can send those, we can send at least 3 or as many meals as we need to provide to these students. We can send those home at one time. Yes.
Okay.
possibly do that on Wednesdays.
Okay, next to present our transportation plan and custodial services is Jess Shull, our Director of Operations.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Sears. I just want to first start by saying that the restrictions for carrying students to school has been a challenge, and we've tried to make this the best plan that we can. So just to run through it real quick, each bus will make 2 runs during phase 3 that utilize modified bus routes similar to those we use for summer school. There'll be more of a generalized route than usual. It won't be coming to each individual house. Students will be transported 1 per seat with the use of face coverings. Students residing in the same household can be transported 2 per seat. And we ask that the seat behind the driver remain empty. We're doing that to try to help keep the driver in a bubble as much as possible, as most of our drivers would be classified in a high-risk category. Windows will be left open, weather permitting, and buses will be sanitized each day. This shows a link to the routes. If you want to find them, you can use these links to find each route. We have them broken up into the elementary school districts. Finding the route nearest your home. Go to, there's a link there that provides the way to find the route. If you're not sure which elementary school zone you live in, you can contact Vicki Geralds, and her contact information will be listed later in this presentation. And we can help guide you to the right elementary school zone so you can find your route. This just explains, once you get on the web page, how to find it. It's listed under the news and announcements heading on our homepage. You review the map to determine which route will come closest to your home. And right now, we anticipate the buses will begin running approximately at 7 a.m. For elementary schools and 8 a.m. for secondary. We're working to get more specific times on the routes to the parents before we start running. And here's Vicki Gerald's contact information. As I said, you'd have it. You can contact Vicki to help you with things such as determining which elementary school zone you live in and which of the routes you will be looking for. Custodial services, we have purchased special sanitizers that will be made available for our staff to use daily. Bathrooms and high use areas will be sanitized throughout the school day. All schools will be sanitized daily, and schools will be deep cleaned on Wednesdays.
Okay, thank you everyone for your presentation this evening. I have just a few concluding remarks, and then we will look to see how many questions we've been sent. But one concluding remark is currently we are planning to open under phase 3, and under phase 3, it pretty well covers everything that we've talked about this evening. But there's always the chance if numbers keep increasing in Virginia, that the governor could put us back into phase 2 for our educational programming. And if we were to happen to go back into phase 2, it would look, many components of it would look just like phase 3, but some of the differences are that face-to-face instruction will be provided 2 days per week for all of grades pre-K through 3. And ELL and English language learners and special education students can be educated face-to-face, but those decisions would need to be made on an individual basis. It's not opening up for everyone who has an ELL plan or an IEP. It's saying that teams would decide, how to best serve those students during phase 2 instructional plan. All regular education students in grades 4 through 12 would participate in virtual learning. And because of such a small number of students coming in, even with the strict social distancing requirements, we would be able to go back to run our regular bus routes in phase 2 instead of the modified routes that we are using for phase 3. Okay, how can parents help this plan be successful? We're asking that everyone provide transportation to and from school as many days as possible. It's very difficult to predict how transportation is going to go under this plan. It has never been tried before. And given the restrictions that we have, it would certainly be helpful if parents could bring their students to and from school. I'm not saying that anyone has to. We will certainly get our buses out there, and we're going to be making one elementary run, one secondary run each day with each bus. So we will be able to get a lot of kids in. It's just it makes things run much more smoothly if parents who can transport students into school do so. We're also asking that you go ahead and start the conversations with students about the mask requirement and work to help them get used to wearing masks. Anybody who's paying attention to the news nowadays, you've seen that Walmart has started requiring it. Places that weren't even considering it 2 weeks ago have started requiring masks. And the reason being is that the science backs it up. It's not 100% that it will block the spread of COVID, but it certainly blocks the majority of exposure to COVID that could be present in our classrooms. So, and on our buses. So we are going to have the mask requirement. There's not going to be any wiggle room on that. I said the other night when I presented it to the board, if you are really anyone who is philosophically opposed to the wearing of masks, you should probably give serious consideration to the virtual program, because it's probably not going to be a successful start to the school year if we're having to devote time and resources into to convincing people of the medical necessity to wear a mask. And also, as Jess talked about with our bus drivers and with all of our faculty and staff, we have over 60% of our faculty and staff either are in a high risk category or are in close personal contact with someone in a high risk category. So we have to be diligent in enforcing the social distancing guidelines that are in place and the mitigation strategies such as wearing masks and washing hands in order to protect our faculty and staff, because if we start having a large number of faculty and staff members who can't work because of being exposed, we're not going to be able to continue having face-to-face instruction. It's going to be a challenging year with personnel and with the different type of learning environment that is being developed currently. We do think it will be a good year, and we will learn on the go, and we will adapt quickly, and we really want to hear people's feedback as we get into the year, because this is something that has never been tried before in anyone's lifetime who's currently trying to work through it. So we know there will be bumps in the road, and there will be many obstacles that we have to overcome. Another thing that parents can do to help is to respond in a timely manner for all school-related requests for information between now and September 1st. And this will help greatly in creating a smooth start to the school year. We will be sending out different types of registration information. We're going to have to send out a transportation survey to see who can drive their students in on which days and who needs a bus transportation every day. And that will help us work out some of these details. But in order for us to be able to make the plan in time to communicate it back to everyone, we really need to get timely responses to any information request that is sent out from the school or the school's division. Communicate weekly with your teachers, with your children's teachers throughout the year. Frequent open communication is going to be key for helping make this plan work. You really may want to go ahead and start establishing your backup childcare plan in advance for days that students can't attend, either if they're screened out because they have one of the COVID symptoms, or if we have had an outbreak in a school and have to go to all phase 1, all distance learning, then it would help to go ahead and have your child care plan in place and ready, because as we've been told time and time again, we are going to have children diagnosed with COVID, and we are going to have faculty and staff diagnosed with COVID. We're going to do everything we can to mitigate that and lessen the chances, but there is an extremely high probability that we will be going in and out of shutdowns until there is a vaccine found, or until the virus works its way through the country and if herd immunity can be developed. So this might be the normal educational environment that we're all living in for the foreseeable future. And part of that will involve intermittent shutdowns. we ask that you bring solutions to the table when there are problems with the implementation of this plan. And please remember that you're not likely to get any good answers by venting on social media. We are here in the office every day. Our email addresses are posted on the website. We understand there are going to be many issues come up, individualized issues and generalized issues that we can possibly help resolve if folks communicate with us, and we have open dialogue about how best to solve these problems. And we want to hear your suggestions. If you have solutions, we certainly want to hear them, because I promise you, we do not have all the answers for this. We are just trying to get through this like you are as parents and guardians of children. We're all trying to figure out the best way to make this work. And finally, we ask that remember that you are the parent. So the choices about your children's education is entirely up to you. And we're going to do everything we can to support whatever decision you make. I've seen we've received some feedback that's been critical of the plan, and some parents are saying they didn't want their child to have to return. They wanted distance learning, but their child wants to return. So they're angry with us for giving the option for children to return to school. But my response to that is, you are the parent. It is your choice. Don't be angry at us because we gave you a choice. You have the option you wanted is right there and it's available to you. So take it if that's what you feel is best for you and your family. We will be supportive in whatever you decide. We will work with you to make this a successful and meaningful year. And I expect that we will get a lot accomplished this year. I suspect we will get much more accomplished this year than we were able to get accomplished during the second semester of last year, when it kind of caught us all off guard. So it's not a situation that any of us want to be in, but this is the world that we live in. And I think if we support each other and really communicate with each other and try to find solutions together, that this can be a successful year. And this will be something that we can all look back on 10 or 15 years from now and reflect on and discuss how we came together as a community, and we came together as a school division, and we made it a good year for kids, because ultimately that's what we're in business to do, is to give every kid a positive educational experience. And we intend to do that through the means that are available to us this year. So with that, we will go to questions. Okay, the first question is from Monica Paget, and she says, do we have to register our kids for the virtual learning for them to learn from home on the days they aren't physically in the school building? That's a very good question, and I appreciate it. We probably should have been more specific. And no, if they are coming in for face-to-face learning, they will receive the virtual learning courses through their regular teacher. And we will try to clarify that in future presentations of the plan. Thank you. Will the teachers be live on the virtual learning, or will they conduct videos that we can watch in the evenings when we get home from work? I think that it'll probably be a mixture of both, and a lot of it will depend on the teacher preference. I think there's going to be some expectation on virtual days that teachers and students make a face-to-face virtual contact through the Canvas platform. And that is necessary for us to be able to track attendance, but that doesn't mean that your child would be on the computer for 7 hours a day just interacting with the teacher. It could be that the teacher has everyone log on at 9 in the morning and they go over some of the information that the teacher needs to present, and then they are given their assignments and work independently or work with their parents on those assignments at their own time. Or it could be that the teachers videotape their lectures or presentations and send them out so that parents can assist their children with doing the assignments. We will have the capability to do both, and a lot will depend on teacher preference and what seems to be working. And just please be patient with our teachers as they start doing this. Many have a lot of experience at doing virtual learning, and many of our teachers don't have much experience with it. So this is going to be an educational year for all of us, and don't hesitate to give the teacher feedback if there are things that could help you better assist your student. We want to hear that. Okay, from Hannah Flincham, how are students going to receive their class schedules? They should be sent out from each school in the normal fashion. We're having a meeting tomorrow with principals to discuss the steps that we need to take to get this school year started based on the plan. And I will bring that up to them that we need to make sure that we are communicating class schedules to our students in whatever time frame that we typically do. Okay, Don Lineberry, I haven't made my decision about my own daughter yet, but I do have one question. If she were to attend school and not do the virtual academy, she will be attending the high school, and I've always taken her to school. I'm concerned about me having to be at school at 8:30 and her not being able to be dropped off until 9 or 9:15. Have you thought of this scenario, and will there maybe be a drop-off assistance for this situation also? That is on the agenda to discuss with principals tomorrow, and we think we have a plan that can provide some coverage a little earlier than the actual start time, but we need to discuss that with principals before we're ready to present it publicly. Hopefully within the next week or so, we will be able to roll out what the drop-off plans will be, drop-off times will be in the morning, and how that will work for students who need to get there a little earlier. Okay, Ashley Johnson, is the virtual instruction live? What time do they have to be logged on in for the extra hour of virtual instruction? And once again, that will depend on the teacher. These are very good questions, and it'll be something that teachers have to communicate. I imagine that it will be a mix. Given the fact that some kids will be in transit and some may have after school activities, I believe that a lot of the after school virtual instruction, the hour that is expected every afternoon, will probably be more of watching the teacher will film a video, and students will have to watch that and respond in some way. That way they can do it on their own time, because I know students who leave to go to jobs, or students who leave to and have some type of after school event may not be able to log on to watch a live lesson. But there may be classes where that's entirely appropriate, and it works for the teacher. So I expect it would be a blend, but primarily it's going to be the students logging on and working on assignments and interacting more remotely than participating in a live virtual presentation. Okay, Nancy Barrett, how will parents be notified of school instructional changes, outbreaks, closures, reopening, etc.? I imagine that also tomorrow we are having a tabletop exercise with the New River Health Department, and they are going to be helping us identify how this, what steps will be taken in the event that we have an outbreak at a school. And part of that will be communicating. Now, I imagine the school closure, that would be simple. We would communicate it through our normal means of, let's say that it's Pulaski Middle, since that will no longer be a school. There's an outbreak at Pulaski Middle, and we know we're going to have to shut it down. Then we would send out the caller. We would post it on the local news channels and post it on social media, the same ways that we always do. But as far as communicating the reopening plan and those types of information, that type of information that is also crucial for parents to know, we will have to work out that process with the health department. And hopefully after tomorrow, we'll have a better idea of how their processes will work in helping us develop our plans to re-enter school. Nancy Barrett, what does virtual learning mean? Will a teacher be on a computer or on a Zoom conference with each student or a class for minutes or hours? Yes, it will be a combination of all those, and a lot will depend on teacher preference, and there will be some expectation that face-to-face interaction is occurring, and that is one of the things that we'll be working out tomorrow. But that doesn't mean that all instruction will be face-to-face. There will be a lot of assignments and watching videos and utilizing the really great, robust amount of resources that are provided to us through Virtual Virginia. I think our teachers, when they get trained on it and become more familiar with all the resources that are available, it's going to be a really good program for presenting content and engaging students even in virtual platforms. Angie Scott, will special ed students get Chromebooks? Yes, every student will have Chromebooks. Thanks to the CARES Act money that was handed down this year, we were able to purchase Chromebooks for every student in the county. Now, as Josh said earlier, the delivery schedule for those is kind of staggered, but we right now it appears that we will have them all before students actually start school. Okay. Paige Pearson Wimberly, I understand from the reopening plan that if no cases are diagnosed during the first week of September 1st, we will move to step 2. What's the task force rationale behind that, given that it can take as long as 13 days after exposure for showing symptoms? And that question has come up a few times today, and I apologize that the wording wasn't real clear on that. When we set up the stepped re-entry to school, we looked at the first week of only doing 25% to make it an easier transition for everyone, because we're going to be getting kids into this new, much more structured environment than what they are used to. So we thought it would be better to have smaller groups of students come in. And also, we're making, I think, we're making assumptions that students may show up to us that first week and have symptoms and test positive because they were exposed to it in their community, or they went to a trip to the beach a week or so before. So I don't think that, the bottom line is when we have a confirmed case, we're going to be shutting that school down for a period of time and working out how to move forward. But for the first week and the 25%, that was really just to make it an easier transition and to get to make sure we get everybody off on a successful foot started on a successful foot for this school year. Okay, where is the IT building? Josh, do you want to handle that? I don't know your exact address.
The address is 89 Commerce Street in Pulaski, Virginia, 24301. If you're familiar with downtown Pulaski, it's across the train tracks from Jackson Park. And when we do a schedule to set up pickup, we can give you clear instructions, and I'll give you phone numbers to call and people to call to make sure you get to the right spot.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Gwen Seagraves, how are students going to safely eat lunch in the classrooms during step 3 when there isn't enough room in classrooms to have 3 feet between each student? I heard you say during the board meeting the classes can go outside, but what if it's raining? There should be more than enough room inside of each classroom to do the 3 feet of distancing, but that is something that we're going to have to evaluate and determine how we can best eat the meals inside of the classroom. So it's not something I can probably answer satisfactorily at this point, but just know that principals are evaluating each classroom and how it should be structured. And if they're having to move courses around into bigger rooms because there may be a few more students, then they will take steps to do that. But our goal is to have 6 feet between students in every classroom. And that will be possible in some of our classrooms, but it definitely will not be possible in everyone. So we will just have to evaluate that, and it might be possible to work out things in other areas that could help us out. I mean, work out space in other areas that will allow for more distancing. What is going to happen when a student starts showing symptoms and their parents don't come pick up the child, or the school can't get in touch with the parents? That would have to be a case-by-case basis. It is something that we've certainly dealt with many times before. So it will be imperative that we have up-to-date contact information for parents and also up-to-date emergency contact information. And the individual schools will be working on requesting all that information in the coming weeks. But it still may be the case, and each school will have an isolation area, and students will be placed in that isolation area until they can be picked up. there may be the potential for us to take them home if transportation is an issue, but there are no guarantees of that. So we will work hard to make sure we have up-to-date information, and we will just have to try to solve each case as it comes to us. What will happen when new teachers have used up their sick days because they now have to stay home for a cold and other simple illness, which they would normally still go to school with? My daughter's a teacher and she was sick constantly last year, but still went to school. If teachers are screened out because they have symptoms but aren't really sick and can teach remotely from their class, then our plan is that they would not have to take sick leave if they are still able to provide instruction. We would utilize the substitute to provide the supervision and assistance in class, but still use the teachers to provide instruction. So that's what we're thinking. There are also options for a variety of different sick leave options that came down with the federal laws that were passed, and we're working out with our attorney now what those look like and how we need to communicate those options to teachers. But our goal is not to cause anybody to use sick leave if they're trying to help students stay safe, but there's no guarantee that at some point they won't have to. We're working out those details, and we definitely will give teachers the option to teach remotely on days that they get screened out because they have symptoms. Okay, Angie Trail, thank you for all you're doing. Question: will the virtual instruction be taped that can be watched after the parent has gotten off their job? Lincoln, could you touch on that? You're much more informed about Virtual Virginia probably than anyone else on the panel.
It really will depend on the instructor. Virtual Virginia is a curriculum that comes to us that's already been kind of pre-made. So if an instructor wanted to put their lectures in there or narrate over a PowerPoint presentation, they could easily do that. Many of our teachers have been doing that in the last year when we closed down. So it really would be an individual kind of a thing up to the teacher. I have faith that any of them who wanted to do it could. I wouldn't see it as something like where they're videotaping themselves up in front of the group of students. It would probably be more like a webcam and them doing a narration or doing a face-to-face kind of a thing.
And will students have the option to record teachers who are presenting material? Is that something they would have available to them?
I'm trying to think that one through, Dr. Sears. I guess they could. There's a function within Virtual Virginia if they're on a PC where they could record the screen, so they could do that. A lot of the times, though, if a teacher does a screencast, that is typically stored up on YouTube, or it would be stored on the Canvas platform inside of Virtual Virginia.
Okay. So it sounds like, Ms. Trail, it sounds like, yes, there's a very high probability that there would be some type of recording that the parent could also view if the student needed the parent's assistance in working through some type of assignment. We are just now starting to gain access to the different elements of Virtual Virginia and are working out our training plan. And so hopefully we will be better prepared to answer these type of questions in 3 or 4 weeks from now than we are today. Okay, and then we have someone who requested a copy of the presentation, and yes, we will share a link for this on our Facebook page, and we will also share a copy of the PowerPoint presentation on the Pulaski County Public Schools Facebook page as well. So anyone who wants the links to the different individuals that you can contact for transportation or for food services, they will be available on our website and our Facebook page. Well, that appears to be all of the questions. I want to thank everyone who tuned in this evening and thank the panel members for their assistance. And as I said earlier, please communicate with us and let us know when there are issues. We want to work together to resolve whatever problems come up. And we genuinely want this to be a successful year. We know it's going to be a very different year. We know there are going to be challenges that we can't even envision currently, but we also want to do everything possible to make it successful. And what I can say is everyone who participated in the task force, you just really can't imagine the number of hours that have went into developing this plan and putting it together. And it is, it's Pulaski County's plan. Someone mentioned the other night, you really can't compare one county to another because we're all so different in our geography and our resources and how our schools are configured. It becomes it's easy to look at somebody else's plan and say, wow, that's great. I wish we were doing that. But, when in reality, everyone is working with so many different moving pieces to put their plan together. The plans often resemble each other, but no two plans are alike throughout the state. And I'm extremely proud of the plan that we put together. And I appreciate the work that everyone did to get us here. And I do think we're going to have a successful year. It's going to be a different year, but I do think it will be a successful year. So thank all of you who tuned in this evening. Thank you to the panel. I hope that everyone has a good rest of the evening. And please don't hesitate to email any questions that you may come up with after we turn off the meeting this evening. Thank you all.